In our project, we have aimed to follow the conventions of a trailer, such as titles, voiceover, character types, shots, and mise-en-scene, which includes location, settings, and lighting, and finally editing, and the way the trailer has been edited to make the audience feel a certain emotion.
The narrative of the trailer is partly based around Fish Tank's storyline of a neglectful mother, as well as the main character having a dream, differences being in the relationship between the main character and his sibling, relating to the film title. In the trailer, we've tried to portray their relationship as a close one, highlighting that the main character, Dexter, has a lot of responsibilities because he has to care for his younger brother. The narrative works well for the genre of social realism. Looking at other films such as Kidulthood, we see a lot of younger people struggling with their lives. Whether it's from school, peer groups, or family, we see how they cope with their problems. For example, in Kez, we see him get into fights and cause trouble, and his escape is his best friend. We thought the idea of giving him a love for music would increase the audience's sympathy for the main character, because they are seeing how hard he's trying to work, as well as having a more interesting storyline and purpose to his success. We thought about props and how to dress the scene to suit social realism. For example, props such as bottles of alcohol and cigarettes fit in well with representing how Dexter and Romani have to live and how their mother doesn't care about them or her own life really. As well as using a recording booth and filming the shots in a small flat, we tried to make the setting look untidy. This shows that the mother isn't very caring or maternal. We dressed the characters in the urban style clothes. Dexter wore quite nice but similar clothing to try and show he didn't have a lot of money but still cared about his appearance. The younger sibling Romani was often dressed in school uniform to reinforce his vulnerability. Amelia, the mother, was dressed in clothing that showed a lot of skin to make it seem as if she was trying to make an effort, but her style was quite dated. Music was important in our trailer because of the relevance it has to the storyline. We made several changes to the music for our trailer. We started off by running the song that Dexter raps to, going through the whole trailer. We then decided it looked too much like a music video, so added in a different soundtrack at the end to build on the tension. The two songs we used are similar to those that are used in the other films, such as Kidulthood and Adulthood. We also included voiceovers in our trailer, using a voice that's unrelated to the characters to avoid confusion. The titles we created were simple, bold, following on from films like Kez and Fish Tank. Because of our choice of plain text, we added in some effects such as blur, zoom, and wipe. You can see from Fish Tank's titles, some of them zoom into the screen as well as blur. The effects made the titles more interesting to watch. The text in Kidulthood are also similar to the ones we used because they are simple and bold.
Mise-en-scene is important in helping to show the conventions of the genre through location, settings, and lighting. We tried to focus on using natural lighting because it suits the naturalistic elements of a social realism film, but there were times when artificial lighting was used. For example, in this scene with Romani and Amelia, we used darker lighting to create more atmosphere and to show the fact that she was in bed and had no interest in her children. Another example of artificial lighting that we used was in the booth when Dexter was rapping. The lighting was focused on the microphone and him to show their importance. Reasons for using this natural light was to help set the time of day and year as it adds into the sombre atmosphere. We tried to use a variety of locations for our trailer, including the flat, a local park, and high-rise buildings that represent an urban setting. We also made it more interesting for the audience by using different camera angles. Close-ups are always very effective, especially in trailers when you're trying to emphasise certain points. Quite often we use mid-shots to introduce the characters as well as doing some more interesting shots, such as the scene when the mother is asleep in bed. The bottles of alcohol are in focus and the characters aren't.
We made a lot of changes throughout the process, cutting scenes and making this music in sync with Dexter rapping. The pace of the trailer is quite fast, especially towards the end where we have a montage building the suspense. As well as using cut, we experimented with dip to black after several scenes and a dissolve transaction.
When creating my poster, I decided to use the same font that we used to create the title Brotherhood. The reason for this being that I wanted the font to be recognisable and it helps create a brand image. The font is also clear and bold, which enables people to read it easily and understand all the information on the poster, which is an essential element when promoting film, as audience need to know when to go and watch the film, what it's about and who the actors are in it. I made the poster quite dark to represent the negative elements and attitudes within the film and corresponding ideas and themes. It is also dark to reflect the autumn time of year, and after looking at other social realism posters, such as Kidulthood and Skets, I realised that they are both relatively dark. This shows that the social realism is the genre. Quotes and star rating were also included after looking at the same posters and seeing that they have quotes on them, helping to create a buzz that are also written in light coloured text against dark background, highlighting the wording. The small text at the bottom I added at the end to make it look real professional movie poster. It also includes necessary information about the actors, producers, and companies and directors. Finally, I decided to use a shot from the trailer to help create a brand image, and also as it is a well-framed shot that establishes setting and is in a naturalistic place, allowing for people to determine the social realism genre.
When putting together my poster, I decided that I wanted to make it landscape, so that the main images When putting together my poster, I decided that I wanted to make it landscape, so that the main image was the main point of focus. By doing this, you can see more of the background, such as the flats and empty playground, showing the urban yet isolated lifestyle that the boys live. I chose to use a similar font to the title of the film, as it helps to create a brand image and is recognisable, as well as having a conversation with the other group members and all agreeing that this would help to promote the film. The font is easy to read and is similar to the fonts used in other social realism posters, such as Adulthood, which also have the contrast of black and white text. This separates the quotes and additional information about the film, making it stand out and clearer to read. I added effects to the poster, such as altering the brightness and contrast to make it darker, and therefore more representing of the emotions felt by the characters for a lot of the film. The small font and the titles are next to each other, creating a band at the bottom of the poster that is bold but doesn't distract from the image. The image is from the trailer and is similar to the other group members' posters, as we thought that using this image would be a successful way of creating a brand image.
I researched into Total Film magazine and so created the mock-up front cover of Total Film, featuring Brotherhood. As a group, we decided that we would all use the same image of Dexter and Romani, as it has both main characters and captures their relationship, which is the overriding theme within the film. I changed the saturation, contrast, and brightness of the image to complement the yellow colours of the magazine features, as well as the text to make it stand out as if it were to be on a magazine rack along with other competing magazines. I looked at previous Total Film copies to see what other contents they feature on the front page and created similar stories and features, but still keeping the focus on Brotherhood by putting the Brotherhood issue in bold capitals as the masthead. I kept the font quite simple, as this is the conventions of Total Film, unlike Empire, for example, which is very busy and bright on the cover with more than one main image.
I researched Empire magazine, and so the mock-up I made for Brotherhood was the front cover of an Empire issue. The magazine is very brightly coloured with lots of text and smaller insert pictures, and so I tried to include this in my own cover. The image of the characters itself I made brighter and edited the sky to look bluer, and the image represents the more positive elements within the film. The text is also brightly coloured to grab the attention. I researched Empire magazine, and so the mock-up I made of Brotherhood was the front cover of an Empire issue. The magazine is very brightly coloured, with lots of text and smaller insert pictures, and so I tried to include this in my own cover. The image of the characters itself I made brighter and edited the sky to look bluer, and the image itself represents the more positive elements within the film. The text is also brightly coloured to grab attention, and I created features that are inside the magazine that would also interest readers. To follow the further conventions of Empire magazine, I included another new film on the front cover that comes out just before Brotherhood is set for release, Valentine's movie, The Vow. Despite featuring it on the front cover, I made it quite small so that the image of the Brotherhood is the main focus. Despite each creating a magazine cover, we chose Charlotte's as the one we would ultimately use. The reason for this is that Little White Lies features more independent films and not Hollywood blockbusters. This is good for our film, as it is an independent small film and so would not be in competition with big blockbuster films. The audience for Little White Lies is younger and targets women as well as men, which is essential for the Brotherhood. Despite each creating a magazine cover, we chose Charlotte's as the one we would ultimately use. The reason for this is that Little White Lies features more independent films and not Hollywood blockbusters. This is good for our film, as it is an independent small film and so would not be in competition with big blockbuster films. The audience for Little White Lies is younger and targets women as well as men, which is essential for Brotherhood, as many of the storylines within, such as the relationship between the brothers, would appeal to women more than men. Brotherhood is aimed at a teenage to young adult audience, reflecting the similar target audience of Little White Lies.